Welcome to Break Free and Thrive. Today, my guest is Lori Hildebrand, and I have huge admiration for Lori Hildebrand because she came from national financial services industry, which is a huge opportunity for women to really maximize their footprint in the business world. But as a result of being in financial services, Lori has had her own journey that she's going to be sharing with us today. And that is part of the reason that I really look to Lori to provide a bit of a background. And she was in financial services it was over 10 years and has since left financial services, and she has a fabulous life today. And that's what Break Free and Thriving is all about. So I'd like to welcome my guest today, Lori. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Yes, and one of the things that I think is so exciting about what you do is you've gone the journey and you know the place that a lot of women are at in corporate careers. And I think you faced some of the challenges that they have as a result of something just isn't feeling authentic in your heart. If you could share a little bit about where you came from and some of the challenges within the financial services industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I do definitely relate. Like you said, I was a stock and bond trader. Well, I started in customer service in that area when I was 20 years old. So it was my entire adult life, and got, Series 7 licensed, eventually got all my, 24, my 9 and 10, all these credentialed licenses as my career progressed. And I was pretty proud of my career. I did really well. I was in the boys club. Worked my way up the ladder, and eventually really worked myself ragged. And after 10 years or so, I had my first child. And after that, I really, I started really kind of wanting to take some steps back, as a lot of women do mid-career. Children come into the picture, or marriages or divorces and things. And I kind of got hit with all of them at once. So I got married very young, worked on my career, and like I said, had my kids. And then when my youngest was 3, divorce suddenly happened, and it really came out of nowhere. And it was very surprising to me. It was very uprooting to me. We've talked about an identity crisis. Things just happened. And I realized then that I really wanted to get off the ladder, and I wanted to find a way to be myself again, to figure out who I was, to really serve my world in a bigger way, and be available for my kids a little bit more. As at that point in time, I was leaving work before my kids woke up, and I was coming home after my kids would go to sleep multiple days a week. And it was rough. And I really just wanted to take that step back, and knew that I wanted to create a better life, because I was, at the time 32 years old, and knew that I was no longer on the path that I wanted to be on. It was good while it was good, until it wasn't good anymore. And knew I wanted to make a change. So I started down that path of making the change.
Okay. So if we could take just one baby step back, you had said that you could feel in your heart that things weren't where you wanted to be. Was there something that you had said, well, I can just go and make this other change? And I know you were very successful in your financial services career, but it's what can propel you? Because I know that's the point where a lot of women feel, I just can't do this.
I just can't do it.
Break away. Yeah.
So honestly, there was a couple things. There was one where I was really being pulled. I'd always kind of had this entrepreneurial bug that I always wanted to kind of do a side gig, a side hustle. And I had done a few little things over the years, just on the side. Never really thought I would make a career of it. It were just little side hustles. But the other part of it was, like I said, it was the pressure that I never felt good enough. Even though I was highly successful in my career, I never felt like I was happy. There was always, it'll be the next step. Oh, it'll be the next one. It'll be the next. There's always one more thing. And I was never really happy. I was overworked. I was stressed. Like I said, I was good. My friends at work were amazing. the people were good. It just was not in my gut where I knew I needed to be. And I knew I needed to make a change, but I was so scared and I didn't know how to do it. So it definitely was the pull and the draw, but there was so much fear that came with it as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know any of the statistics in the financial services industry? Because it is such a high pressure career. And I know you were in that career, but I actually have a couple other friends that were on the East Coast, and it was always a matter of, I'm not sure how long I can continue doing this. So I'm just wondering if you're aware of any statistics that women may be facing in that industry.
Yeah, for sure. So it actually shows, so especially in the midlife or the mid-career range where you've been you're established, it's not that, according to SBA, the Small Business Administration, it is 40% of that mid-range career that women leave the corporate world for different reasons. Whether they truly want to start their own business, but most do, or it's because of family situations, and it is just harder to get back into the corporate world. And so then at that point in time, women start looking at entrepreneurial ventures if they haven't before. But it is such a large chunk, which also impacts companies, right, in the corporate world, about women coming back into the corporate world and how we make that easier for people, because it's just not easy to do to leave and come back. And so many women are now, and so like I said, SBA is tracking it, Forbes is tracking it, and there's so many statistics out there that show such a large chunk of women in this mid-range that are leaving, either by choice or for family situations. But ultimately, there's more women now. We live in an era now, Karen, that more women than men are actually starting businesses on an annual basis. And that's the first time that's ever happened in history.
Well, and I think from the standpoint, the statistics are supporting that there's a lot of women that are feeling, that tug within to say, I do have the opportunity. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We live in such an amazing time that there are so much opportunity, but we're still kind of ingrained in society that the path is college, get a good job, corporate career, you work your way up the ladder, and you retire, right? That's still, even though we don't feel like that's where we should be, it's still ingrained in our society. But more and more women especially are now taking that leap and now seeing the opportunity, and now seeing there's actually so much support and so many resources, so many people out there that can help you be successful, that it's not as scary as we think it is.
Well, I think there's a new term that's emerging, and it's called the gig economy, where there's an opportunity to, start a business, but it's also a lot of online opportunities. And absolutely. I think it's about time.
Absolutely. And that's where I always tell women, especially in the corporate world, it's so easy to start that gig, that side hustle, and start either doing side projects. There's websites like Upwork or Shift Gig, things like that, where you can post just project-based opportunities and start working on the side and building that up. There's that way, or that, you just jump full in. But there's so much opportunity. Like I said, it is the gig economy for sure. And we live in such an amazing time to be able to tap into that.
It's about time. It really is about time.
And I love it. I know. I love it. My client, we love it.
So one of the things that I did want to ask about, because it's also one of the things that kind of causes women to hesitate, is because the amount of capital that you need to start a business. You really need to be on top of your finances. And I know, as someone being in financial services, you knew how to do that. Right. But for someone that's, contemplating, I'm not really sure, I know all of the pieces that go into, are there services that are available, or can you share how you kind of overcame those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, one of the biggest things is it's acknowledging where you're at. So Karen, a lot of people, like I said, it's simply the fear that, I'll never have enough money. I'll never be able to do that. I'll never be able to support myself, because it's simply fear. And the biggest way to get over the fear is to just look at the numbers. I tell people all the time, all we have to do is look at your numbers. So if you pull all your accounts, and look at your starting point. Look and see exactly what you have, because people drastically underestimate their debt and drastically overestimate their income. But it's so fearful, and that seems odd that would create fear, but it does. So the way to get over fear is to look at your numbers and really understand it. So what I say as far as capital, one, it's very industry specific. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to cost you to start your business. But according to SBA, again, most micro companies, which is like one-woman businesses, the solopreneurs, that's most of the gig economy, it costs you less than $3,000 to start that business.
Okay.
Now, that's not including your day-to-day expenses. That's the business. What I want people to know is you simply need to have enough savings if you're going to take the full leap and you're just saying, I'm out, I'm done with the corporate world, I'm going full force. Make sure you've got enough savings to cover your livelihood, to cover your expenses for at least 3 to 6 months. Okay. Make sure you've got that capital in there to put into the business in the beginning, whether you need actual tangible products, you need website hosting, you need whatever kind of support, whatever your business needs. So you've got enough capital for that. So it's just running your numbers, but just you've got enough to run your livelihood. But on the flip side, Karen, if you're starting this on the side, I always tell people the way to do that and not burn out in your business or in your job, think of your job as your business loan, right? You're there to work for a company and do a good job for them. But if you shift your mindset and think of that as your business loan, it becomes so much easier. As long as you've got a date and you know what your time frame is, and we can work on that and work on your time frame as far as your income, replacing the business loan income from the job with your personal business and knowing what you're creating and how we're replacing that income. It's so much easier when we just look at the numbers and make a plan. It eliminates the fear.
So are you one of those people that are kind of like spreadsheet nerds?
I do love a good spreadsheet, Karen. Let's not. But for most people who are not spreadsheet nerds.
Because I think that's intimidating for a lot of women.
It is. And so what I will always say, use the tools that you have. And I'm not going to ever say, here's the hands down best tool that you can use to solve all your financial problems. And I'll tell you why, because the best tool is the one that you're going to use, flat out. And what you can do is either look at your bank or your credit union. Most banks and credit unions have an app on the phone that's super simple to use. All you need to do is go to your app and look at your accounts every day and see what you've got. 5 minutes in the morning will save your bacon, right?
Yeah.
You have multiple accounts. One resource I do love is called mint.com, M-I-N-T. They are a free service. They're an Intuit company too. So same as QuickBooks, the same company, but they will take all of your accounts. So if you have a couple credit cards, couple banks, couple things, they'll take it all in. So you've got one snapshot picture of everything that you've got so that it's really clear. And one of the things that I love about them is they automatically track your budget like your habits. So if you average a certain number of going out to eat at restaurants, and then 1 month you're suddenly going a lot, it'll send you a little message and say, hey, you look like you're spending a lot at restaurants. Maybe you should knock that off. And it just kind of reminds you that you are going a little much this month and maybe you need to pay attention to it. So there's great resources. Don't let the resource overwhelm you. Again, it's just the one that you're gonna use and you're gonna pay attention to. That's the best one for you.
Okay. So from the standpoint, when you're looking at, okay, I think I'm going to leave my job, or I know my job is going to be going away, do you kind of set up, I need a 3-month, 6-month plan? And sometimes you're aware of how far down the road your job may be going away. But in the case that you don't know, say you're getting, a severance package, how long does it kind of take to get through, okay, how am I going to figure this out? Is it going to take me 6 months to figure this out before I can, know what I'm going to be doing? Or how do I go about that process?
Right. Absolutely. So again, it comes down to planning. And what I always say is start with the end in mind. Well, I mean, that's a Stephen Covey thing. Start with the end in mind, right? So look at the date that you are actually leaving the job or the job income is going away, whether it's actual work or severance package, the date that it's going away, and we work backwards, right? So we work backwards, meaning how much money do we need to start replacing that income and paying for your expenses? So what that looks like is really taking it month by month and saying, okay, this month, by the very last month, obviously I need to be 100% self-sufficient, right?
Right.
I've got to be able to be paying my expenses. And part of that is understanding what your expenses actually are. Okay, so I want people to understand the difference between your income and your expenses. Because a lot of times we have in our head, well, I need 6 months of income. No, you don't. You need 6 months of expenses. You need to be able to pay for your life, right? Which is really a smaller number. It should be. Your expenses should be smaller than your income, right?
Sure.
So we've got to just work backwards from that date and say, start replacing. How much do I need to make? And what that does is it starts to motivate you to get out every day in that income producing activity, not the activity of, I need a new logo, I need a new business card, I need all these cute things that are fun, but they're not making you money, right? So those are necessary to some degree, but they are not going to make you money directly. So I want you to understand, especially in that beginning stage, yes, some of that is necessary, but most of your time has got to be spent in IPAs, income producing activities. And if you can manage that and really pay attention to the income, what you're creating, you can start seeing your timeline as far as replacing the income that's coming in from the job or the business loan, which is your job.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to share a funny story. I actually was on a telephone call a couple days ago, and the gal called during the Q&A session, and she said, you know, I have all of these expenses. I'm not making any money. I'm doing some speaking. The speaking is free. I'm not making any money. And she said, and I can't continue to do this much longer. And the question was, well, how long have you been doing this? And she said, 60 days. Now, I have kind of been on this journey for a while, and I was just like, 60 days, that's kind of like you wake up from, you know, the slumber and starting this journey it's you've been in your career for, 10 years or more to be able to start this journey. It's not like you're going to be, yes, you're going to have income producing activity, but you're not going to be having it within the first 60 days.
Right, exactly. You really are just starting. Yeah. You've got to know, you've got to be really clear on what you're selling. So in that instance, if it's someone who's out speaking, which is a great way to get in front of people and a great way to create, get your face out there and get to know people. But that's not really what you're going to be selling in the beginning. To be a paid speaker is a long journey.
Right.
But you're selling something else. And so that's what a lot of people come to me, and when we just look at their pricing and packaging and what they're selling, it's very unclear. So even in the beginning stages, you need to start getting really clear on what it is you're selling. So if it's a product, if it's a service, what it is, and that way we can really start to fill in the blanks as far as, if I need to make $5,000 a month, how am I going to do it? What services and products fill in those blanks in order to create that? So yeah, in the beginning, a lot of it is the foundation, right? It's the setup of the business, it's the legal entities, it's setting up your presence, but you're still talking to people. So I want people to understand you're still talking to people. Let people know, your friends, your family, your network, your social media, but get out and be real face to face with people and let them know you're in business. That's why, one of the biggest things is like, well, I'm doing this. Well, have you told anybody? No, I'm afraid to tell people, which is such a natural human response because we don't want to hurt our job, or we don't want people to judge us. It's scary to put ourselves out there, right? But people hold the money. We have to talk to people, right? Just remember that. So whatever stage we're in, beginning, middle, or end, you've got to be talking to people.
Okay. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about, because some people have kind of an aversion to, making that money. And it's kind of like, well, I'm afraid to ask for what I'm really worth. and they end up having this snowball effect. And how do you kind of, and I don't know if you help them, but I think you do, to help them to get off or get over or get through that hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I just talked to one of my clients yesterday, and she's been working with me for about a year. And a lot of what we talked about is her income based on her own perception of money, right? It's your own money story, and we all have a money story. We've all created it from childhood, from our experiences through life, what we've heard, parents and family and friends, everything that we've heard through our entire life, we've created this money story. So there's a lot that can come out of it, but one thing I want you to remember is when you're in business, especially, you're in business because you are giving some kind of value to somebody else, right?
Okay.
The money is simply an exchange of value. That's all. So if you know that you believe in your service and product, that you know that this can help somebody, you're not just selling to Jane Smith down the road because you need to make a sale this month to pay your rent, right? We're not going to be in desperation mode. We're in service mode. So if you look at it and you know that your product or service is really going to help solve this person's problem, the money is irrelevant, right? They are investing in solving their problem, and you have what it will take to solve their problem, right? Even if it's something you don't think of as a problem, photography, makeup, something, a lot of times we're like, well, I'm not solving a problem. Yes, you are. You're absolutely solving a problem, right? You need to look at your audience. You need to look at how they feel about themselves, what their lifestyle is like. What is this difference going to make to them, and what value are you bringing? The more clear you can get on the value you're bringing and the problems you're solving, it's so much easier to ask for that investment because you're helping them feel better. You're helping them solve this problem. It is this other person's way to come and have that exchange of value.
And I think that you've actually highlighted the clarity to get to that point is probably one of the most challenging for a lot of women, because you kind of say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this. And it's, you have the vision, and the vision is a little bit farther down the road. But when you are explaining that to someone, they're like, well, what exactly does that mean?
Right. Right. And that is one of the problems is we oftentimes go into business because, especially as women, we are so multi-talented and we can do so many great things, and we want to solve everybody's problems, right?
Yeah.
We just do. That's just what we do, and we're really good at it. In business, you've got to be the expert, right? So even though you know that you can do 50 things for somebody, you're not going to advertise 53 things. You're going to say, I am the expert in this lane. This is what I do. This is who I serve. This is the problem I solve. That doesn't mean you're going to say no to other people that come to you, because they always will. That just means that's who you're talking to, and that's what you're going to be known for, is this situation or this type of people or this problem or whatever that is, right? But when you start saying, well, I can do all these things. I can do this, and this. Which one do you want to buy? That's really hard because it's too many choices for people, right? And a confused mind will never buy. So we've got to be really clear, one, so that you know where your audience is. You've got to be really in front of the right people, but they need to know why they're coming to you specifically, so that you are always top of mind.
Well, and I think that's also one of the things that you're very articulate with, and that is when you're in front of someone, the message they hear resonates because it's divinely sent. You're in front of this person, but the other thing is that message that you are sharing with them of the service that you provide is emotionally resonating, authentically resonating. And it really is, it's divinely, all of the pieces, it's kind of like that little puzzle piece that we're looking to fit. And you are able to kind of put yourself in the middle of that puzzle, because all of the pieces fit perfectly. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, through my own journey of creating the company that I've created now, you know, it started as basically helping financial advisors when I was in the corporate world build a better business and help them manage their own money while they're building a better book of business. And it started with that, realizing that that was what was being asked of me. That was what people needed. And I was like, that's what I'm really good at, is helping people build their business and manage their money. And I just fell in love with it, and it kind of just snowballed. But yeah, with those, I've grown and I've changed, and I've created the specific market. I know exactly who I serve, and I know how to serve them. I know how to do it so well, and my clients see phenomenal results because I stay in my lane. I stay in my genius zone. And that's what I want everyone out there to understand. Know your genius zone and know what your lane is. That doesn't mean you can't be creative with your business and create, more opportunities to serve your clients, but it's still in your lane, right? It's still you. It's not that you're doing insurance and travel agency, and you know what I mean? It's like multiple different things. And I have people that, do 4 or 5 different things. They're a photographer and they're virtual assistant. And, I'm like, let's pick your expertise and stick with it.
So the next question, and I think I know you have the answer to this one. So if you have someone that says, I want to start a business, but I've got, some of these other things on the personal side. So they're in debt and they're not able to kind of manage some of their debt. Do you put them on a budget to manage their personal side so that will enhance their business planning? Or do you focus on the business side, and then once they are understanding the business side, the personal side falls in place?
It's both, especially when, the type of women that I deal with, we're not creating, the next Apple company. These are generally solopreneurs. We're women in business that are the gig economy. We're running our own show, right? So personal and your business affects your entire life. So absolutely, we're going to look at your personal side. We've got to be looking at it because we're in business to serve people, but to maintain our livelihood, right?
Right.
We're here to create a better life for ourselves and for people around us. To do that, we have to look at all of it. So yes, absolutely. If you've got so much debt that it is physically, emotionally, and financially weighing you down, that's got to be our starting spot.
Okay.
So, and that again is not as hard as people think it is. A lot of times it's simply fear that we're just not looking at it, and we just don't know what to do, or we don't know what to ask, what questions to ask. So we feel stupid, right? Because you're just not familiar with it. So I just want to get the message out that you don't need to feel stupid. We all have our stuff. We all have our fears. We all have our shame. We all have what we think is shame. And in reality, it doesn't take that long to get out of the hole. We just have to stop digging the hole and make.
Well, and I think that's one of the things, because sometimes, and I've talked to enough women to say, I don't think I'm smart enough to start a business because look at some of my personal finances. And you kind of go through some of those life's challenging times where things were really good. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, that was kind of a blip. I haven't been able to overcome that. And then you kind of shut yourself down because, other opportunities that may really be good opportunities for you, you kind of shut them down because of the personal shame that you have about this one part of your life that kind of fell apart.
Right. And all I want to say is by reaching that acknowledgement stage and really looking at what you have is the beginning of the next chapter. That's all it is. Whatever choices, whatever's happened in the past, if you want to make a change and you want to get a better handle of your personal finances, you want to have other streams of income, you want to start a business, all it takes is one decision to pay attention to it and ask for help. That's all. Right? It's just like a health journey. If you want to make a change in your health and you've tried everything before and you think it is not working, ask for help.
Right.
We're okay. We don't need to be super women all the time. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to ask questions even if you think it's dumb. Because if it's not your zone of genius is what's going to help somebody else. But if money and business is not your zone of genius, that doesn't mean don't do it. Because your zone of genius, whatever you are good at, needs to be out in the world to help somebody else. But you can't do that unless you're making money and you're running a business, right? You just can't.
Right.
So ask for help and get a team, get support so that you can get a handle on it, so that your message and your stuff can be out in the world serving somebody else.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about you. You've come from a place where, you know, you've had that interaction with a lot of women in the business world, in the corporate arena. And as a result of now starting your own business, you've seen probably every situation that there is. There aren't any surprises.
Oh, absolutely. And the number one way that most women start a conversation with me is the words, "I'm so embarrassed." That's the number one statement that comes out of people's mouths the first time they talk to me. "I'm so embarrassed." And I'm here to tell you, it is not embarrassing. I promise you. It is the most normal thing, and it's simply because we don't know what questions to ask. But when you take that step of getting in front of somebody and talking through it and actually taking the steps to work towards your goals and work towards what you want, even if you think, "I'm so embarrassed," you're not the only one. And you're way farther ahead of everybody else who's going to sit in their mind saying, "I'm so embarrassed, but I'm never going to do anything about it." Right? If you're taking that step to actually pay attention to it, to actually make some changes, and to actually make some sort of action plan, your world will be so much better 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now. You won't even recognize it.
Well, and I think you've just positioned yourself that women that want to start that conversation with you to say, "I'm so embarrassed." How do they start? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of ways. One, if you want to just have a conversation, feel free to email me. My email is lori@lorihildebrand.com.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I do want, especially for your audience, I run a business boot camp a few times a year. And I've got my next one starting the beginning of January. What this looks like, and I think a lot of people in your audience would really want, this is the jumping point. This is first quarter 2019 jumping point business boot camp. And what it looks like, Karen, is 12 weeks. It is it's boot camp. This isn't fluff. This is work. So I really want you to understand, I'm not going to give you a bunch of recorded fluff. This is real, and we want you to make money and get your business where you want it to go. Okay. So it's 12 weeks of live video conversations like this with a group. And I keep the business boot camp small, no more than 15 people at a time,
Okay.
so that we can interact. So every single week there is a business and financial education portion of it. So you'll get a lesson, you'll get some homework, you'll get things to work on in your business that week. You get the accountability of the group. You get a private online group as well, so that we're continuing the conversation and helping to support each other. But in addition to that, you also get all the recordings for a full year. Plus, we do a live retreat with everybody that's been through boot camps, which is not just your boot camp, but multiple throughout the year. We do once a year a live 2-day retreat that is phenomenal. And it's where everybody comes together to to network, to learn more. There's more education. We bring in guest speakers. It's phenomenal, but it's included in that. So the 12 weeks is, it's a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's work.
Mm-hmm.
But every week you will have specific actions, specific course. We'll talk about your money and your business to get things on track, so that you're actually seeing a difference and actually having a plan. And then we'll continue the plan the rest of the year, so that you can just go and actually run that business the way that you want. So again, if you want to do that, it is an application because it's only 15 people. So I want to make sure that you are in the right space for it. Okay. If you're not quite ready for the boot camp, I will give you other resources. Okay. But to apply, the page is lorihildebrand.com/apply. It's just a one page. It's like 5 or 6 questions. But what that will do is send it to me and my team, and someone from my team will reach out and we'll have a conversation to see if this is the right spot for you.
Okay.
And then if it is, I am offering your audience $1,000 discount, which I have not offered anybody. This is the Karen Jones type. And nobody else, I've done podcasts, all these other things, and no one else gets this. This is Karen Jones.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
yeah, so in your application, if you want to put a little note, I'm Karen Jones Tribe. I'll know.
So the one other thing I did want to ask was, can you give an idea of, and I know this is working on your business, is this like 5 hours a week? Is this?
So yeah, so our conversation, so the live interaction
Mhm.
is a 90-minute live interaction. So that's
Okay.
once a week is 90 minutes live. Then, of course, you will have homework, but the homework is part of your business. So it's whatever hours you are committing to put into your business.
Okay.
We're going to take a chunk of that and say, here's your income producing activities. Here's what you're doing during that time that you are committing to your business.
Okay.
So outside of that, yes, it is an hour and a half a week that you're going to be on live with our group. And if you miss a week, I get it. I don't want you to, but I get that life happens, but the recordings will be there.
Okay. And the reason I asked that was because sometimes, depending upon the amount of live interaction, it's usually double or triple the amount of time that you need to invest. So I think people need to be aware of
Absolutely.
this isn't just an hour a week. This is,
right,
live, interactive. Yeah.
Exactly. But this is why I say it is a boot camp. And I want you to actually see results by the end of it. So if you're committing to work on your money, work on your income, work on your business, we will decide how many hours you have to work on it outside of your job. And that's your commitment so that you can actually build it. So we will create your calendar and your schedule and what your activities are during that time so that you know what you're doing and you're not just, well, I should be working on my business now. Maybe I'll jump on Facebook and post something there. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be very specific.
Yes.
So you know exactly what you're doing during those times. So yes, of course it's work, but that's what business is, right? We're going to make it work and make it so that you eventually don't have to have so many hours.
But the other thing is there's the value of the other people that are in the boot camp are in a similar position or they're on a journey similar to yours. So it's all toward the same goal, and your interaction within the group kind of cascades. It's a ripple effect.
Right. Absolutely. And this is why, honestly, why I do these boot camps is simply for the power of the group. The power of the mastermind moves you forward so much faster and so much clearer than working one-on-one. And I have a handful of one-on-one clients that I do a year, but those are quite limited because honestly, it's a lot. Because I do a lot of hand holding, a lot. It's very successful, but the group interaction is amazing. And I see so much power in that interaction. Like I said, that's why I leave the online group. That's lifetime. I have people in there from a couple years ago, from like they're in there together that are still interacting, still helping each other, still sharing resources, still sharing education. Like it's just a phenomenal way to progress is to create a tribe like that who are all there to support you and they're in similar positions.
Okay. So again, I just want to reiterate, if people want to start that conversation with you, they will send an email to Lori at LoriHildebrand.com.
If they want to reach out. Yep. But what I want, exactly, just send me an email or go either way, or go to the LoriHildebrand.com/apply.
Okay.
And that will start the email to me. Yeah.
Okay. That is awesome. I'm looking forward to all of the people that are going to be in your group joining, because I know as we're looking at the end of December, the end of the year is coming to an end, and people are really thinking about, what is next year going to be looking like? And we all have huge expectations for the following year, but this is a journey that you have support and a tribe to actually help you progress on your journey next year to really make first quarter of 2019 to be awesome, but to cascade that throughout all of 2019.
Absolutely. Because honest statistics show, we've seen this with every New Year's resolution, everything that everybody wants to always do, by mid-January, they're out the window. And I don't want to see that happen, especially with business. I don't want to see you still in the same position, November 29th, 2019, the same day next year. I don't want you to be in the same positions like, oh, one day I'll leave my job. One day my business will get off the ground. One day my side hustle will make more than, a couple $100s a month. One day. I actually want to see that happen. And if you take the step and you move yourself forward and you get the support, you'll see results.
Thank you so much, Lori. This has been an awesome Break Free and Thrive opportunity for the tribe today. And I hope that everyone will take the opportunity to reach out to you. I'm going to include your email address and the link to apply for the boot camp. And I really am looking forward to connecting with you after the call as well, because I think that there are a lot of women out there that are kind of, they have that vision, but it's just like they're afraid to take, and it's a leap. But sometimes taking that leap starts with just a baby step.
Absolutely. And that's all I want and everyone to understand is it's just taking that first step and see what happens. And let's just see some results and get a few things under your belt and you'll start seeing some changes.
Thank you so much, Lori, for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you as my guest on Break Free and Thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay.